A very good morning to you, our cherished viewers. You are welcome to Fire Service TV, where life resides. On Fire Service TV, we bring you life in the form of fire safety education every Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And so if you have found yourself on the Fire Service TV with us today, you are welcome and we appreciate your presence. We have given you in the past weeks a lot of education on fire safety, how to keep yourself safe, your family, your employees, your property, and what have you. Today we are here to do just that. We want to advance this conversation so that wherever you find yourself, wherever you may be, you will know that fire service has got your back and will always show you how to be safe. Now, today's discussion is not going to be any different. To us in the studio here, we have our guests who always come and share experience and knowledge on this TV, on the various topics that we discuss. And so we want to go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we shall introduce to you these guests that we have in the studios. Do stay with us.
I came across power safety technology. So I introduced that into our residents, who are more than 4,000. And over the period, they have testified how power safety technology have saved them when the need arises.
Power safety. Safety is our hallmark.
Welcome back, our cherished viewers. You are live on Fire Service TV and the program is Safety Matters. I said earlier that we have very knowledgeable personalities in the studio to help us advance the discussion on fire safety, which we think that would help you wherever you are. And for today's discussion, we have our regular guest in the person of Deputy Chief Fire Officer retired Kwame Kwarteng. He was a director in the Ghana National Fire Service. He comes here every Tuesday to help us with his experience and knowledge. Sir, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Next to Deputy is one man who is an anchor in the Safety Directorate. He is actually in charge, Deputy Director in charge of certification in the Safety Directorate. He is in the person of DO1, Michael Atukosa.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
To Safety Matters once again. Thank you very much for spending time with us on Safety Matters, or having agreed to spend time with us on Safety Matters. Me and my viewers, we appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
We are grateful to you. We'll go into the discussions proper. However, it's this week is quite a difficult one for us in the Ghana National Fire Service, and as well as every other person who is with us or who fraternizes with us, as we mourn the sudden departure of our director, legal, in the person of Deputy Chief Fire Officer Kwesi Bafo Ewua. It's a very difficult time for us in the Ghana National Fire Service. And this weekend, precisely, he shall be laid to rest. Sir, this man has been with us, Deputy. I'm sure during your tenure in the Ghana National Fire Service, you have worked with him. What have you got to say about him?
Thank you very much. Sometimes I have to say I'm lost of words.
Indeed.
I was surprised and shocked when I heard of his demise. But we had been very, very effective in helping the safety department to the extent of making an LI 1724.
Oh, he was part of it.
He was part of it.
Oh.
Really worked. That is 2016. Then when it comes to the new condition of service that we have, he was very, very instrumental in advising the team. I was the chairman, and he was a secretary member with other ones, the late Corsa, the current chief fire officer, and then Bracon Finance. We completed that document. But the actual coming into the law was after 2017 when some of us have left the service. But he was very, very active, and he played a very critical role in advising and showing us what the labor law requires. And the directories that were set up were all his planning. And I'm sure I'm lost of words, but I'm very, very sad. My condolences to the family and to the service, including the retired fire officers, if none at all, myself. And we hope he gets a good burial, and then the Lord will keep him in his bosom.
Amen.
We've lost.
Indeed.
To fill that hole now, we need another legal officer.
Indeed.
I think the Lord will provide.
Amen.
That's what I want to say about him.
Amen. Dio Kosa, what do you have to say about our fallen hero?
To continue from what my boss said earlier, naturally I would continue working with him because he started with the directorate, and so we worked closely. He's a brother because we have related on official lines. He's a colleague, or he was a colleague, because we were both intake mates, and subsequently became my director and a superior officer. Before his demise, we were passionately working on prosecutorial, or to revive the prosecutorial units of the directorate, so we had several meetings, and the passion with which he would work and the commitment was commendable. So his sudden demise, shocked all of us. And what can we say? Only God knows. What we can say is that the family should be stronger and see God as a comfort, and God will take them through. We are there with them, but God is the ultimate. With God, all things are possible. And we pray that God will keep him in his bosom. He shall rest in peace.
Amen. Amen. Like I said from the beginning, it's a very difficult week for us. It's not easy to mourn such a man, a very energetic, full of ideas, who we just heard that during his course of serving this service, he brought his legal background and every other experience he had to bear. So it's difficult saying bye-bye to such a great talent and such a great hero. But what can we say? We shall only commit his soul to God's mercy and rest. So we say that may God rest his soul. Amen. DCFO, our lost hero will be laid to rest this weekend between the 13th of July and the 14th of July at Sunyani. And so all sympathizers and well-wishers are invited to this funeral. Now we shall look at the brighter side of life, isn't it? I'm sure wherever he is, he would want us to continue this course that he has started, and then carry it everywhere he wished to go with it. And so we shall continue. Sir, last week we were talking about evacuation. We just alluded to it a little. But today, we are here in full force. We want to discuss evacuation in full force. You gave us an assignment. I remember, I haven't forgotten. My viewers were given an assignment. We're supposed to walk 40 steps from without breathing
and see how far we can get.
I hope you have carried that out, because I'll be receiving your comments I'm reading your comments at the comments section as the program continues. So please be mindful, if you haven't done it, you still have the opportunity to do it as you watch us or listen to us. So you are welcome to Fire Service TV. The program is Safety Matters. This is where life resides, and so you need to hear it in order to keep yourself safe and live. Very, very important. Now you can join us on Facebook and all our social media platforms on GNFS Official. You can join us with your comments. Whatever it is you want to say to us, we are here. We are here to listen and then address it for you. So join us wherever you are and watch us as well. We shall announce the lines later in the day so that you can also call in and tell us directly what you want us to know or what you want to know about. I am ADO1 Joan Ejay. So let's delve into our evacuation. Last week, can you please remind us about a few things you said about evacuation? When we say evacuation, what exactly do we mean?
Right. Then, to recap what we did last week, we talked about symbols, signs, then we came to what indicates on means of escape in terms of science.
Yes.
Then we talked about evacuation, where I gave an example of even a rat having a plan to get out. In case
I remember that statement, even though I don't think it's even funny, very profound, that even a rat makes provisions for evacuation.
In case of an emergency.
Yes.
And so
that's a very smart
very
thing
critical.
to do.
We need to think about it. So with evacuation, I think we made mention of how to get out of the building to safety, which we talked about, what we call comparative safety and total safety. So what it means that you have a plan or a form, a means to get out of the building without using the normal staircase that we are aware of.
Okay.
Neither do we want to use a window as a means of escape. Even a balcony is not also accepted as a means of escape, but you can stand there for support.
Okay.
So to leave a building safely, to get out, that's why I gave that assignment, that if in case your room is full of smoke, and you want to leave the place, will you be able to walk about 40 steps that you can get out of total safety into a place? That is why we gave that example, that how you can get out of a building. That's your evacuation.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for this recap. Evacuation inches or stands on three main points. The first one from our discussions is emergency exits. Diosa, when we talk about emergency exits, we have spoken about it, but I want you to talk about it in connection with evacuation. What do we mean by emergency exits in relation to evacuation?
Thank you very much. He has defined and spoken about evacuation. Exit, simply put, is a portion of a building that allows a person a way out of the building. And so we have an exit and we have exit discharge. So exit discharge is a portion of a building where a person in a building that leads to the walkway or the street outside to safety. And it is supposed to be not to be closed, all right, always opened so that it's accessible. And so some of the exits are electronically operated or connected, and it is very dangerous. So exit is supposed to be a portion of a building that will allow the occupancy of people in the building out of the building without any obstruction.
You mean the electrically operated ones are dangerous?
They are dangerous because when it it is faulty electrically, there's a fault and it could not be operated and something happened, or in the process of an emergency or fire outbreak, the lights could go off and it would seize the system. So there should always be an alternative, so that when it fails, there's always an exit route. That's the reason why he's talking about an alternative arrangement, so that the occupants will be able to access the exit out to safety.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's clear. That's clear, sir. So, Deputy Sir, we have been talking about exits. How is it the size of a normal door? How many exits should what building have?
Okay.
Are there requirements for types of buildings, depending on the size of the building? Or what are these? Are there requirements? If there are, how are they? How are you supposed to be? What's supposed to be the size of the building?
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, the size of the door.
As a fire inspector or a trained fire officer, your duty is the person getting out of the building. It is the designer or the architect's responsibility to design the exit direction or the door in such a way that people can pass through. Now, there's a formula which the architect used. We called a density factor. It has been practiced and approved, and it's a standard. So if he knows this, the area of this room, and he knows that every human being must occupy 1 square meter per person. Are you getting me? So when he calculates that, he will be able to tell you the door size and the width that has to be provided.
So that's the detail work that goes into determining exit.
Yes, that is the architect's job.
Hey.
That is the architect's job.
I see.
So if he has a conference room, and the conference room is to take 200 people, the architect will use the density factor based on the area and say, I need 4 exits, I'll need 2 exits. So you as a fire inspector, when you're reviewing the drawings, you have to put this in mind.
Okay.
So you don't tell the architects that your doors are not adequate. They are not satisfactory.
Because he has
done it based on
calculations.
And then looking at the people who are going to use it, the discharge, as he said, how should the door open?
And that is the discharge.
The discharge.
Whether the door should open inwards or outwards. Okay.
And when he decides that, then he says that if I'm opening the door outside and it's going into a corridor, will it block somebody or will it hit somebody? Does that window or that door need a vision panel or a glass panel or a pure wood? All these things. So you, the fire inspector, must know that this door opening into this area, people might be on the corridor. It might hit them. So put a vision panel or put a glass. Or you have, for instance, this studio. You have an inner room behind me. The person in there should be able to see what is happening in the studio, and therefore there should be a vision panel door that will come in here or a window for him to see. So when you go to churches, you realize that the people who are operating the sounds are in a glass system. They see what happens down. In case of emergency, they can also get that.
So it's part of the reason.
That's a part of the reason. So when you see glasses in some areas in the building, it's not because it's
not for aesthetics.
But
it's for
to see what is
going.
So
we like it. So you say it's
so
nice.
There's a lot of things that goes into. So when you talk about the size and the width of doors and an area, that is how it's calculated. So he has a single room, maybe 12 by 12 or 12 by 14 feet. He will need only 1 door. But then the building is in such a way, the structure is, or the room is in such a way that he has no other means to get out of the place. So he has to put himself, I think I made mention of having a smoke detector to be a warning
fire
for
protection.
And such doors does not necessarily open outside. You can open inside and get out. So you see most of our houses, the doors, we open them inside. Because when you look at the density factor of the people who are living in that house in that particular room, you don't need a lot of people coming out, and therefore you don't need to open the door in a way of direction. Now, just to add to what he talked about, the exit with the emergency. When we say an emergency, you can decide which will be your emergency. The last time we talked about using a kitchen door as another emergency exit, apart from the normal door in the hall area that we have. I gave an example that when you go into tall buildings, and I even stated the one at airports, that if it's about 5 floors above, and people do not want to use, because we are not supposed to use a lift, and there are a lot of people on most floors. So at the wings, they provide an emergency exit, which is contained in a staircase. Are you getting me?
Yes, sir.
But you cannot open from outside. You can only open from inside with a push bar device to get out. So
because
emergency.
They don't want that door to be abused.
Yes.
Because if you can open from outside, people
Mike come here, and then they will miss somebody. For example, maybe on a lighter note, somebody who is fan of being late to work.
We'll use that.
That one. Yeah, you get to. So you cannot open from outside.
Okay.
And then a thief or somebody who is can also not use access that.
Security.
So it's meant for a specific reason. In some structures, they are linked to the control panel. So if an intruder comes in and does anything and then uses that emergency, the alarm will blow on the control panel for him that somebody is tampering with the emergency exit. So there's a security.
There's one thing that
there.
keeps coming as you describe these situations and how these arrangements are arrived at. Sometimes when we talk about fire safety, it's as if we are putting security on the side. But I don't think I see this in what you are saying at all. Whatever it is, we blend safety and security.
Safety and security are
blend
together.
safety and security.
But we don't allow security to override, as you said, the safety aspect.
Yes.
So when you come and you said, I'm putting this door against this because of that, then we, the safety, will tell you that we agreed, but this provision should be done in this way. He did talk about some electronic doors. When you go to some of the banks and the highly security areas, they have what we call access control. You see some green box in there with a pin, or he has to access it with his thumb or something to get inside. In a fire situation, that thing can be override. You can override it. There's a knob there that you press that overrides that, so you can get access to come out
quickly
or to get inside. So they have all these arrangements for their security and to maintain the people. But we also tell them the alternative that if there's no power and there's nobody and I have to get access and I need a control, what do I do? So provide an overrider. So these are the issues. So you combine the two based on security and safety so that people can get out of the place.
Okay.
So you understand?
I understand that very much. Do you, Kosa? So evacuation is a big deal indeed.
Yes.
It's a big deal. I think that a lot of us, when we are putting up our building, we hardly think about. So then, whoever you are handing your architectural work to, fire engineering work to, is very important in your life.
Very critical.
As an occupant of that structure.
That's it. Very important. Because like you said, it's quite comprehensive. Having known the density factor, you must also take into consideration the building makeup, the purpose of which the building is put up. We may have gladdings who may contribute to the fire spread. What is the fire rating? You would have to talk about or consider the demographics, who are in the building, what is their sickness state, all right? How do you distribute them? How would they react to fire? What is the traveling distance? All these things are put together to calculate, to know the number of exits, how it is designed and all that. And having designed all that, you must do simulations so that the people in there would be instinctive and respond appropriately.
We'll come to evacuation drills.
Yes. So it's quite good. So if you don't have the technical eye or professional eye, like you said, you would enter into a building and see a glass design and think that's just a mere decoration, but it is there for a purpose.
My viewers, thank you very much for joining us. We are live on Fire Service TV and the program Safety Matters. We are live on all our social media platforms. And if you are not joining us, we are discussing evacuation and how you can get out of your abode, wherever you are, on time, so that you can escape fatalities or anything that are associated with emergencies. So you are welcome to Safety Matters. Now, we are learning that we don't have to take for granted our safety. More often than not, we are interested in how beautiful the building should look, how wow people should see it and feel about it, but we forget our safety more often than not. If anything, we only think about our security. But today, this morning, we are learning that you can conveniently fuse safety with security and still have a beautiful building and have a good life. Now, how about that? I am liking it. The program is Safety Matters, and you're welcome. Sir, Diwo Costa, let me remain with you once again. Now, as part of this, last week we spoke about emergency lighting, and so our viewers are quite familiar with it and how it helps in evacuation. But we know that there were some materials that naturally, when you use it as part of the building, naturally gives light to the building. For instance, I'm learning that the roofing. How about that? We want to
that
know
is also important.
it.
Skylight, when you naturally would want to rely on the brightness of the sky. All right, should the light go off and should the worst happen, where you would even not have the emergency light system functioning, you would still have the skylight to have a bit of light to help the occupancy out of the building. You may also have hollow blocks, all right, that would allow light rays into maybe a warehouse, but it depends on what is in stock. It depends on the fire load, what you are doing. For example, if you have a warehouse that have in stock ammonium nitrate, and you have hollow blocks, and somebody is having something that has to do with smoke, and hot smoke travel into the warehouse that interact with the ammonium nitrate, could cause explosion. So it depends on what so safety it's
Yes.
it's depending on, that is why when you are doing your risk assessment, you look at the exposures, what goes on around, all right, the building, not only within and without, because you may not start the fire within, but fire could start from without and will travel depending on. So smoke will travel, interact with the ammonium nitrate, and there could be an explosion.
So you see, right from the word go, we have to know what we are using that building for.
Yes.
We have to be sure.
We have to be sure.
Of what we are using the building for.
That's it.
In order for us to put in place the right mechanism.
That is it.
And also, if you're going to change the use of the building, fire service has to come in once again.
Once again, I was having a discussion with one consultant last week, and he was talking about the density factor, as my boss said. And he said, outside jurisdiction, if you have to have about 20 people, and it's more than that, it's closed down. It's straight away.
And so it makes sense. But what you have just described to us on this show, it is for the safety of the people. You see, sometimes what the fact is that I am only an employee, okay? You are an employer, you are the one who has the money. Me, I'm coming to look for my local field, you see, and I don't have the power to do the things that you have to do. I only come in to work for you. But your negligence could affect me.
That's it. That's it.
Okay, and that is where the law comes in. I believe that's where the Ghana National Fire Service comes in.
Talking about the law, and my boss, he has a way, he has a style. He thinks that it is not everybody who is aware, who is conscious who is so knowledgeable when it has to do with safety, density, and all that. So there is the need to educate the masses, let them know, bring them to that level of consciousness. All right. I remember one of these days, useful exuberance, and I said, I'm going to close it down. I said, of course I know. Don't close it down.
Let him rectify the problem.
Let him rectify the problem. So I remember one of these days I visited one of the banks, and at the peak of the month where people go in to take their salary, where you have all kinds of people, the disabled, the old age, the physically challenged, and all that. Ask the manager, looking at your floor space, and at the end of the month, they're looking at the people who come at the end of the month to take their salary, considering the exit. I don't think there's a problem. I think there's a problem. So I am thinking that you either reduce by erecting a tent outside so that they come inside in tents. All right, to reduce the.
Okay. Yes. Okay. that helps. That helps.
Yeah, that helps. So I he helps shaping us, and it's helping. So it brings them to the consciousness of the fact that hey, we need to be mindful of the people that come in here and all that. So safety is broad. It's broad.
Deputy. What's the role? What role does fire-resistant materials play in evacuation? Fire-resistant materials, yes, because you see, time is of the essence. When there's an emergency, what role?
Okay, before I go to that, I want to say something about the Skylight. Provides lights for you, but it also helps in operational firefighting. If you have a very big room and the fire, and you want to get smoke out, you, the firefighter, have to get on the tier and go and get that Skylight out. It's one of the functions for operation firefighting.
Oh, okay.
It's operational. Apart from providing the light daytime and to see what is there, it is meant to get smoke control.
On this operational note, Sam,
please
let me go for my first commercial, my second commercial. I'll be right back.
I want you to understand.
I'll be back. I'm interested in the full story. If I allow you, just give me half. So I'll be back. We shall go on this commercial break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I came across power safety technology. So I introduced that into our residents, who are more than 4,000. And over the period, they have testified how power safety technology have saved them when the need arises.
Power safety. Safety is our hallmark.
I came across power safety technology. So I introduced that into our residents, who are more than 4,000. And over the period, they have testified how power safety technology have saved them when the need arises.
Power safety. Safety is our hallmark.
Welcome back, our cherished viewers. You are live on Fire Service TV and on all our social media platforms at GNFS Official. Just log in and then log on to all our social media platforms. and you have the benefits of this very important discussion we are having live on Fire Service TV. We are discussing evacuation. I believe as we speak right now, you are at work. Yes. Or you are in the house. You are in church. Wherever you are, we've got your back. We are discussing you right now. We are discussing your safety. It doesn't matter where you are. We are discussing how you can be safe as at now, wherever you are finding yourself. So we urge you to be interested in this conversation by sending us your comments and also joining us through 050-960-8744. We shall receive your calls on 050-960-8744. It is Safety Matters, and the topic is evacuation. Sir, can you please continue for us? Yes, sir. I'm interested. Me and my viewers.
He explained the aspect of safety as an emergency, and I'm talking about the Starlight as a means for operational firefighting.
Okay.
It serves an area to let smoke get out of the building. So when you go to most of the factories, you watch, look at the roof. You see that space in there, which is made of fiber, but not aluminum roofing sheets. The fiber lightness gives way, and heat cannot withstand a lot of heat as the other roofing sheets does. So when the heat and the smoke builds up, it begins to let that place give way for smoke to enter. If it's not able to get way, then the firefighter will have to go there and get that roof, that space, skylight, this thing off, for smoke to move out of the building. Then he will go down, because when the smoke moves, then the firefighter feels very comfortable, bend down and go hose and locate the seat of the fire. So it has two purposes, it has two reasons. One is to see daytime in operation. The second one, either day or night, you have to use that place to let smoke get out of the building.
Oh.
So it is, in homes, in my house, I did it in such a way that I didn't provide it on the roof, but I created a small space within the house as a courtyard with a door. So I have a corridor around an open space in the middle of the house, which has direct access to the sun. So in case there's fire and I open any of the louvers on that particular one, the smoke will pass there and get out of the building.
Interesting. WC is also a safety consultant. So I am not surprised.
Courtyard in their houses, it's good within the building. It's not outside, it's within the building. There's a court space that you can have your flower garden and then...
And the purpose is what? The purpose
is for smoke evacuation. And also enjoy free and fine air when I sit there in the evening. That's what I do.
So one thing serving many purposes. So no fears.
So you don't go to the roof too. So when you open the door that goes into that particular, any smoke that is filled within the house will pass through that one and get the exit out through the roof without passing through the ceiling and the roof to pass through to get out.
So that is why we have the firemen or safety officers sitting on that statutory planning committee, so that when plans are brought, they review and make inputs when necessary, so that people will be saved. They don't just sit there and just okay it, but critically examine it. And beautiful. You think that but because he's a safety person, you know, because life is, you have only one life.
I believe you're on that committee. Are you?
I am.
Anyway, because your wealth of knowledge is very important for such. Can you tell us about other fire-resistant materials that we can find in a building deal, and how they help us to, in terms of evacuation, not to evacuate, but how they help us in times of emergency. Deputy, no problem, you can take it, sir.
You see, every material you see in the room has standards, and it talks about its flammability level, talks about its flash point. They have all the characteristics that define that particular product, like a carpet, plastic, like the chairs, and all those things. So, looking at the people who use that particular building will determine the kind of material you have to put in there.
And perhaps what the building will be used for? Or
For
it's not
instance,
part of it?
you can't come and put a very highly flammable material in this studio. So look at the ends and the coverings of the paintings that you have here. They are like a matte form. They are not the glossy type that you see in various houses that you can clean them like that. I get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So every use of the place will determine the finishes for it. You have your home. You can have a normal door, which we call the flash door.
Okay.
It's not hard wood, core wood. When you see a core wood made that can resist fire for at least 30 to 45 minutes. So that becomes a fire resistant. It is not a fireproof, it will burn. Anything, I'm here to see what is fireproof in the world. So when I hear this advert, this door is fireproof, I laugh. There's no fireproof door. It's a fire resistant door.
In that it can
will
hold
keep and hold the fire
for some time.
Yes, and when you're designing or putting up a door, if the brick wall has a resistance of fire 1 hour, the door must also have a resistance of 1 hour. If you go and put a flash door in between a concrete wall that gives 1 hour, the door will fail earlier than the concrete wall failing. So you increase the amount of air that will come into the room to increase the combustibility.
And oxygen is a very important
so
element
when he's
when it
designing
comes to combustion.
and you see the block work that he has done, then you can see, okay, this block work, one must not fail against on this corridor, and therefore if the block work is 2 hours resistance, the fire door must be 2 hour resistance.
Okay.
Okay. And there should be no any other opening within that area that cannot stand the 2 hours. So if you're talking about fire resistant construction of fire, then it means everything within that particular confinement in which it is must maintain the same fire stability or fire resistant integrity.
So we can have walls.
Yes.
We can have doors. What else can we have? The floor. Paint. Okay.
So
fire retardant paint.
The fire retardant paint, for instance, if it's to maintain 2 hours, so I can have a thin, what do you call it? A thin plywood, and I'll paint it with the 2 hour fire resistance.
It's able to.
It will stand it. For the 2 hours. So light material. But in our culture, nobody wants to build a house with wood. But in Europe, they'll build it and put the fire retardant paint on.
But that's what we live in when we go abroad.
But here, who has the respect that you have built a house with a plywood? But you can build that one and put that fire resistant, and fire will stay. But the thief does not withstand. Keep tips away. They can cut and go in. But as a fire, it will do its purpose. But for security and theft, it cannot handle that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's why this program, we are having this program. If you didn't know before, would you want to add something?
He said it all. Like he said, every material is flammable and would give the flammable vapor. And when it gets to its predetermined temperature, then fire will start. That is why that's not a scare tactics. That is why we are so worried when we find the hostels start using this metallic. I won't mention any metallic, because when it's subject to heat intensity, all right, it expands, all right, and if we are not careful, all those in there in the hostel will be locked up. So recently we had a meeting with the Ministry of Education and raised that concerns. And
please, at least, even if you mention the specific institution, please describe for us what exactly your fears are.
Generally, what we are saying is that everything metal expands, all right, when it's subjected to heat. So when you buy a metallic door and you are putting it, all right, be mindful of the fire rating. See for how many hours it will be able to hold up, so that it doesn't. Otherwise, if you subject it to heat and expands, the law would lock up. When you are opening it, you can't open it. You'll be trapped in there.
It's good we are having this education.
So you understand?
Yes, sir.
I'm sure in secondary school you do something physics, linear expansivity. Did you do that? You never did that.
I don't know.
So you see that is why when they are making a bridge, there's always that gap. When you see those cars, they because they know everything, even the concrete and distance they expand. That's why he said that if you have metal doors and this, then you should make room that when there's an expansion, it will not seal it. So what they do, or what we have, is that they can make that door, then they have fire brushes or smoke stoppers in there, so that it will not let it lock, but it will allow smoke to get to the other areas. So provisions are made by engineers to stop the expansion. So if you go and fix the door very close and put all this, then you get your self-locked fine. There's another one what we call intumescent. They are paints. Yes, sir. But they are also form of fire-resistant issues. Intumescent paints are put in there when there's heat of fire. They expand, then they will lock that area so that smoke will not pass from one end to the other.
In order to spread the fire.
Yes.
Smoke aids in spreading fire.
Yes, that's where I think I made it very clear. It's the smoke that knocks you down before the fire comes. So we are thinking of how smoke will not get to you and you can go away, so that you can be saved, so that fire does not consume you. So as he said, you must be careful. If he says I'm happy, so normally when we're asking for the drawings, we ask for window and door schedule. The window and door schedules tell you that this door labeled D1 is made of glass and wood. D2 is made of pure wood. So you have to demand, and then you say D2 door you're putting in here for fire resistant purpose, because of this glass, unless it's a fire resistant glass, you have to change it. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
So as we are explaining, you must understand what you are doing and convince the architect or whoever is the contractor that this will not fit in for fire safety. Then he buys and he gets you. But if you don't understand, you can't explain, you are going to have a lot of problem, because he wants to reduce cost as much as possible.
Indeed.
And you are adding more cost to his client, and it becomes a problem.
Yes, sir.
To add to, he started something that has to do with our forensic lab. All right, because he was sitting on the National Insurance Commission, and they started, and thankfully we now have a forensic lab. It won't be long, then we would start examining, all right, all these products that are brought into the country in collaboration with the Standard Authority.
Awesome.
Yeah, subject it to our tests and to ensure that they conform to standards. Yeah, before. So if, like you said, you bring your drawings and you make provisions for all that, then samples are brought for us to test whether what you have stated is.
I am tempted to go into safety policies, but that one will be another discussion for another day, because I want to have a full complement of it. Me and my viewers, yes, we want to enjoy every little bit of it. So we'll shelve it for today. We would have you on the show again. You are from Safety Directorate. You are Deputy Director in charge of certification, and so we are in good hands. And so I'm sure we'll have you on the show again.
He
He trained me.
Yes, and he's training all of us now.
He also learned.
Yes. And today you are training all of us. Me too, I'm learning a lot on the show, me and my viewers. Viewers, you are live on Fire Service TV. The program is Safety Matters, your favorite program that updates your knowledge and in terms of safety. Safety in all shapes and forms. Safety in your workplace, safety in your houses, safety at church, safety everywhere. The discussion has been around evacuation, how to get out of an emergency situation of all kinds alive and possibly unhurt. Yes, how to get out of an emergency situation alive and possibly unhurt. That is all that we are doing here today. And I don't think that you can sit anywhere and say that, oh, I am not interested. You should be interested. We are having your comments. We are very happy that you have joined us on Facebook and all the other platforms. We are noting your comments and we shall read them on this show. It is Safety Matters, and we thank you for joining us so far. By way of your comments, we have Grace Kisiwa saying, good job. We also have Peter Mensah telling us that we are learning more from you. God bless you. Oh, God bless you too. We are grateful to you for joining us. Please spread the news so that others can also benefit as you are benefiting. I have Benanda Esenam Gabianu watching you live from Kranza South Municipal Fire Station. Good job, and we are learning more. Thank you very much for joining us. We shall continue to read your comments. The topic under discussion is evacuation. Evacuation. Sir, Deputy Sir. So, in a troubled building or in an emergency situation, how does every individual get evacuated at the same time? I am talking about what forms or types of evacuation can we have? How can it be so that when somebody is somewhere and you are not getting to him at a particular time, the person is not too worried because he or she might understand that, oh, this is how the procedure has to be. Can you please help us?
All right. Evacuation can be once simultaneous, and it can be done in phases. Now, depending on the use of the place, will determine whether, if there's an emergency, all of us have to get out. And then, in a place that will be done in phases. For instance, there's an emergency in the hospital. There are 2 floors or various, we could be on the same platform. You have the medical area where people are on drips, some are receiving blood, some are doing this. Normally alarms are not sound, but the nurses, where the nurses are, they have what we call the strobe or the light.
Alarms are not sounded at the hospitals?
No. You see, even if you are driving, when you get, you say they've written no hooting. Even within the area of the hospital, the road there, they said no hooting. So when I see people blowing their horn and they start, I say, you people, you don't know what is there. You don't blow horn around those areas.
So why?
Even if it's siren, an emergency is carrying a patient and gets close to the hospital, the siren goes off. Don't you know that?
Sir, please, why? I do. But my viewers want to know.
That one, I'll need a medical officer. But what I know of is not to disturb the situation of the person or the patient. It could be under so distress conditions, and if he hears those things, he could be more alarmed.
Exactly.
So they don't. So in a hospital like this, you cannot sound an alarm to evacuate everybody at the same time. For instance, if you go to Kolebu, where our maternity wards is on the 1st or the 2nd floor, and there are women on labor, and you go and sound an alarm, what do you do? And the fire is not on the maternity room. So where the fire is the first place that you have to evacuate. They are in immediate risk. If it's a storyborn, the next people to evacuate is the floor above the area where the fire is, because heat and fire rises. So there will be the next group of people that will be in trouble.
Then you come to those under where the fire is, because we assume that the heat traveling, heat might get through radiation and other forces to get to those on the underground.
Science.
I am trying to explain to you why it is done in phases.
Yeah.
Because you don't need all of them to get out of the building.
Yeah.
So you equate them in that particular form. But where it comes to a room like an auditorium or in a church building, and then there's an emergency, sometimes people think fire in is the only problem. That's why we say fire and related emergencies. You can be in a church room and bees will attack you. You don't suspect. You can be in a bed, what do you call it, a church hall, and somebody will shout snake, or somebody will shout some lizard that is not used to, and you see that people will panic and begin to move.
I've even seen birds enter
and people will start. So these
panicking.
are all emergencies. So in such a case, you need to evacuate everybody at a particular time. You cannot do them in phases. So in open areas, we don't do, in open auditoriums, we do total evacuation. But when it comes to use of prisons like hospitals, theater and some other areas, then you can stagger it. So what I'm trying to explain is that evacuation is not total, depending on the facility in place. For instance, you have a hotel. Somebody's on the 10th floor, the fire is on the ground floor. Why do you disturb the person on the 10th floor? Evacuate and do his stage to the next, come down, go to the next. Before it gets finally, maybe the fire is off, the person doesn't need to come down.
So there's a situation, there can be a situation where somebody might be in that building, might not even hear that there has been an emergency.
Yes. So you, the one who is designing, will have to say, if I'm designing that I'm doing phase evacuation, then I must make sure that that particular area have a very good compartmentation, that fire will not spread to the other areas.
A phase evacuation being evacuating who is closest to the danger.
Yes, the danger.
Who is,
Unless the building is collapsing. That one, it means that time almost everybody would have gotten out of the property. So that is how the stages of evacuation are done. But to be able to get the results, you must try it through an evacuation drill. Evacuation drill, which is very, very critical. That is how you know that if the person's on the 10th floor and he must get out of the building within 2 minutes or 3 minutes, will he be able to make that particular time? And then after you've tested it, then you can either adjust your evacuation policy or your evacuation plan to make it meet what the standard talks about. So it is not evacuation. For instance, I heard on there was some commentary, not commentary, but one of the sound bites. Normally I listen to Asempa, sorry to use that one as an example, and somebody was saying he was being attacked by the police, and the police are throwing tear gases around some demonstration circle, and he's looking for an emergency exit to get out of the tear gas circle. If there's a tear gas, what evacuation plan do you need, or escape route? You don't need an escape route.
It's an open area,
and nobody will give you an evacuation plan in such a situation. I hope you understand. You don't need any evacuation. You must find your way out of the place. But where it is confined and people are in the building, then there should be a policy as to how you will get. And even that policy is also linked to the security officers there. That if you hear this alarm and it's in this area, this is your responsibility. See to it that these people are out of this. If you go to an area where they are using, PWDs, what do you call them? People with
yes,
the last time we
physically
explained,
challenged.
in some buildings they have a place. I gave you an example of golf house, where they have a space provided for people who are using wheelchairs on upper floors. You go and stay there and wait. You have a communication system in that particular room that you can talk to the security man that I am on the 5th floor in the refuge room. So if when the fire service enter that building, they will come and rescue you from that particular area. So you are not doing simultaneous evacuation. You are going to be done phases evacuation. You are going to wait for people to come and take you out.
Very well. Thank you very much, sir, on that one. Do you remember, sir? Yes. Kindly help us. We have spoken about directional signs as part of, it's a third pillar of evacuation, because if you are coming out from a place, you should know where to pass. And it's a directional, emergency directional that are supposed to direct you to safety. Isn't that the case?
That's it.
So how does one person, I just want you to educate my people, my viewers out there, how does one follow a directional sign to safety?
Thank you very much. That is why it is very important that anybody who enters into a building for the first time, orientation is very key, right? Ghana, we are adapting, so we are getting there gradually. It's very unfortunate that in this part of the world, the only signage we are so particular about is the signage to the female washroom and the male washroom. Yeah, so it is very key that we look out for the small boards or plates that is having a green background with a white arrow that they have written exit, directional sign leading to either the exit or the final discharge, where it is pointing downward. Depending on the direction, the arrow would direct you to. So it is important when you go look out for all that. I narrated a story about a hotel that called me, management called me, that one Sunday, I think it's my boss who called. On Sunday, I was leading worship, that there's a problem at a certain hotel, so I should go there in the eastern region. When I went there, there were whites who were refusing to lodging because they found a problem with the system and the inadequacies in respect of the signages and all that.
And that's how serious people take these things.
Yes, that's how, when they come and it's inadequate, they think they're not safe. So this signages and directional signs helps us, all right? At the point you would find not only signages, find notices that will tell you what your action, your conduct in an real emergency situations, what you are supposed to do and all that. So simply put, the directional signs are this normally cards or plates that is having an arrow, having a green background with a white arrow, directing you to an exit to use when there's an emergency. And so it's strategically installed or displayed.
So you are saying to us and my viewers, to me and my viewers, that whenever we enter any building, wherever it may be, we should look out for these signs, whether there's an emergency or not. Because an emergency won't wait for you to now go and study these ones and know where to pass.
Don't only be interested to signs leading you to the female bathroom and male bathroom.
Yes, you have heard it from my boss.
And not only that, oh, the place is fine.
Oh, it's nice.
No, that's not.
You know how ladies are, they will run to the wall. We'll go to where the mirror is. We want to check ourselves once again.
Be mindful of that, because personally, I don't know, because I am a safety person. Anywhere I entered, I look at their exit, like you said, exit, whether it's obstructed, look at the floor space, look at the people, what they do. Even I check the pillars, the rising, the staircase, all that, the width, corridors, I check all that.
I'm sure it's because of your training.
I check all that because
but we can always learn from you.
Yeah, life is you have only one life, all right? Where there's the need to prompt the management, I would do that. When at times some of them are very not tolerative, all right? You tell them, but then, like we said, gradually some of them don't see the importance of it, but safety is key. Like we said, you always have to merge safety and security. But then, safety, if we can be secure but not safe.
Yes.
But we can be safe and secure.
And secure.
So
We can merge the two.
Yeah, you can
it
merge
works,
the two.
isn't it?
It works.
Yes,
So
it
it's
works.
important we hold safety in high esteem.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Honestly, I am tempted. If I had the power, I would have extended this program today. But it appears we have to fold up for other programs, make way for other programs. So I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. Please, sir, give us your concluding words, Deputy Sir.
Thank you. And I always say that you need to do a lot of reading on fire safety as an inspector, not only that, as a firefighter, because anybody who meets you on the street will ask you some question, why? And if you're not able to make your points, you'll be found wanting.
Exactly.
My last one is condolence to the demise lawyer.
Yeah.
I hope everything will go on well.
Amen.
Thank you.
Dio, sir.
Thank you very much. We thank you for watching, and please inform others to inform others that is where you in your introduction you said something. That's where life
is here.
Yeah, life is here, and so it's all about safety, and you can't have none apart from here, or you can't have none but here. And to add to what my boy just said, condolences. We'll all be there this weekend to support the family for the burial of our brother.
Thank you very much. I have had on this show Deputy Chief Officer retired Kwame Kwarteng. He's a regular guest on this show, very knowledgeable personality, and also DO1 Michael Corsa. Sometimes he dodges us, sometimes he's here. But when he's here, we like to grill him.
Let me use this opportunity to thank my Madam Deputy Director, Deputy Chief Officer, Daniela Mausi Into. We call her Abruetia. She's awesome. She's doing so well in that directorate and doing a lot of things. And we hope that if we continue, we would change the face completely. And also to the Chief Officer for the work that he's doing.
Very well,
for the service.
Very well, so thank you very much for coming on the show. We live to fight another day. Thank you very much for watching. This has been Safety Matters here on Fire Service TV. Today we have discussed evacuation. We have learned so many things. There are some of the things that you don't need to do by yourself. Some of them are technical in nature. But we are opening them up to you so that at least if you contract someone, you know that the person is doing the right thing for you. You can at least put in those small checks in order to know that you are on the right way. So thank you very much for watching. It has been Safety Matters. We shall come your way next week, same time, with this program. My name is ADO1 Joan Ajay. See you next week. Thank you.
Very low now. See you. Yes?
Thank you for today.
You're welcome. I'm glad you had